All Your Worth, The Ultimate Lifetime Money Plan by Elizabeth Warren and Amelia Warren Tyagi. Imagine this scene. A young woman named Monica is treating her parents to a Mother's Day dinner. She's feeling proud and accomplished, finally able to show her gratitude for everything they've done for her. The meal is perfect, filled with laughter and warmth. When the bill arrives, Monica grabs it with confidence. "My treat," she announces, beaming. A few minutes later, the waiter returns, looking uncomfortable. "Perhaps there's been a mistake," he says quietly, "but the card was declined." The warm atmosphere evaporates instantly. Monica feels a wave of humiliation wash over her as she frantically searches through her wallet. Credit cards spill across the table, one after another. Her father's eyes widen at the sight. Her mother, understanding what's happening, picks up one of the cards and hands it to the waiter. "No, not that one," Monica practically shouts. And in that moment, everyone realizes the truth. That card is maxed out too. The silence becomes unbearable as Monica stares at her collection of plastic, trying to decide which one might actually work. She finally hands over another card. This time it goes through. The family leaves without speaking. That cold, sinking feeling of shame and anxiety is something millions of people experience every single day. Maybe not in a crowded restaurant, but alone at night, staring at bills spread across the kitchen table. It's the feeling of working hard and trying to do everything right, yet somehow falling further behind. If you've ever felt that way, you're definitely not alone. The book we're exploring today, All Your Worth, was written specifically for you. It comes from over 20 years of intensive research by an impressive mother-daughter team. Elizabeth Warren, a Harvard law professor who studied why families go bankrupt, and Amelia Warren Tyagi, a Wharton MBA and financial consultant. They didn't create another get-rich-quick scheme for people who already have money. They built a practical plan for the rest of us, anyone who's ever worried about money and wants to finally take control. What they discovered after interviewing thousands of families is a secret to financial peace that's incredibly simple yet remarkably powerful. It can genuinely change your entire life. It's not about obsessively tracking every penny or giving up everything you enjoy. It's about one essential idea: balance. By the end of our time together, you'll understand this powerful formula for financial balance. You'll learn why the old money rules don't work anymore, and you'll have a clear, step-by-step path to pay your bills without worry, enjoy life without guilt, and build an exciting future. This isn't just about managing money, it's about reclaiming your life. Let's be honest. For most of us, money creates constant stress. It's that persistent low-grade anxiety humming in the background of our minds. We work hard and try to follow the rules, but genuine financial security always seems just out of reach. We tell ourselves to buckle down and cut back on small things, skip that morning coffee, buy generic cereal. We attempt complicated budgets, tracking every dollar in notebooks, but it never lasts. It's exhausting and makes life miserable. After a few weeks, we give up, and the guilt and worry come flooding back. The authors want you to know something crucial right from the start. That approach isn't just miserable, it's actually dangerous. Trying to count every penny distracts you from the real problem. It's like trying to fix a leaking roof by rearranging buckets on the floor instead of climbing up and patching the actual hole. You're working hard, but focusing on the wrong thing entirely. The real problem isn't about small purchases, it's about the big expenses. And here's what financially secure people understand: the power of balance. Think of it like a healthy diet. You don't just obsess over cutting out cookies. You make sure you have the right balance of proteins, grains, and vegetables. A sustainable plan for life. Your money needs exactly the same kind of balance. After studying thousands of families, from those drowning in debt to those living comfortably, the authors discovered a simple but powerful formula. They call it the balanced money formula, and it divides every dollar you earn after taxes into just 3 categories. Not 20 categories, not 50, just 3. First are your must-haves. These are bills you absolutely have to pay every month no matter what. Your rent or mortgage, utilities, car payment, insurance, groceries, the core expenses for a safe and healthy life. Second are your wants. This is the fun stuff. Movies, dinners out, new shoes, hobbies, vacation funds. Everything that makes life enjoyable, but that you could technically live without, if necessary. Third is savings. This is money for building your future, paying off old debts, creating an emergency fund, and saving for long-term dreams like retirement or a house down payment. That's it. Must-haves, wants, and savings. Every dollar you spend fits into one of these three buckets. Now, here's the secret that changes everything. The ideal balance, the target you should aim for, is this. No more than 50% of your after-tax income should go to must-haves. 30% can go to wants. And 20% must go to savings. 50, 30, 20. Let that sink in for a moment. This isn't a restrictive budget. It's a plan for freedom. It gives you permission to spend 30% of your income on anything you want, completely guilt-free. And it automatically builds your future by setting aside 20% for savings. The key, the real foundation of the entire plan, is getting that first number right, keeping your must-haves at or below 50%. When people are in financial trouble, it's almost always because this formula is out of balance. Consider Brett and Brandy's story. They were a young couple working incredibly hard, taking every overtime shift available. They never went to movies or ate out. They cut their own hair, turned down the heat in winter, and constantly searched for coupons. Brandy joked she'd make a casserole out of roadkill if it was on sale. Yet they were still falling deeper into debt every month. They were exhausted and filled with a quiet suspicion of each other. If neither was spending extravagantly, where was all the money going? The breaking point came when their 4-year-old daughter was invited to a birthday party. She desperately wanted to buy her friend an $18 princess tea set. Brandy, with a knot in her stomach, bought a $4 plastic doll instead. In the car on the way home, her daughter quietly asked, "Why can't we ever do anything nice?" Brandy just lost it. She had to pull over, overwhelmed by the feeling of constantly coming up short. When the authors examined their finances, they found something shocking. Brett and Brandy weren't overspending on fun. In fact, they weren't spending enough on fun. Their real problem was that their must-haves were completely out of control. They'd bought a starter home with no down payment, meaning they were paying 2 mortgages. They had a brand new SUV with a huge monthly payment. They carried the most expensive health insurance offered. Nearly 80% of their income was being consumed by these fixed costs before they even had a chance to live. Their money was dangerously out of balance. They were heavy on must-haves, leaving almost nothing for wants or savings. The solution wasn't to scrimp on birthday presents. It was to tackle the big-ticket items. They sold the monster SUV and bought a reliable used car. They shopped around for cheaper insurance. It wasn't easy, but by focusing on dollars instead of pennies, they brought their must-haves back into balance. For the first time in years, they could breathe. Now, you might be thinking, 50% for must-haves? How is that even possible? Especially if you live in an expensive city, it sounds impossibly low. But there's deep wisdom to this number. The authors give 3 powerful reasons for it. First, it's sustainable. A plan forcing you to live on rice and beans forever is doomed to fail. A 50% limit leaves plenty of room for the rest of your life, enough for fun and enough for the future. Second, and this is crucial, it's safe. It builds a massive buffer into your life. Think about it. If your must-haves only take up half your income, what happens if you lose your job? Your unemployment check, typically about half your previous salary, can cover your core bills while you find new work. If you're a 2-income family, you could survive on just 1 paycheck temporarily. This flexibility is key to weathering life's storms without going under. When your must-haves creep up to 70 or 80%, you have no room to maneuver. The smallest hiccup, a car repair, a dental bill, becomes a full-blown crisis. Third, it's tested over time. A generation ago, this was the norm. most families spent half their income or less on must-haves. As a result, they saved money, worried less, and financial ruin was rare. The rules of money have changed, and we need to consciously rebuild that safety back into our lives. But how did we get so far away from this balance? Why are so many people like Brett and Brandy, with must-haves, eating up their entire paycheck? The authors point out that the world your parents grew up in was fundamentally different. Back then, the system had guardrails. If you tried to buy a house that was too expensive, the bank simply wouldn't lend you the money. Government regulations were strict, so lenders had to be careful. There were no zero-down mortgages. You couldn't get a car lease consuming half your income. Student loans weren't the size of a small country's debt. In short, it was much harder to get into trouble with big, fixed expenses. Today, those guardrails are gone. Banks and credit card companies make their biggest profits when you get into trouble. They'll gladly sell you an oversized mortgage, a car you can't afford, and a mountain of credit card debt. The responsibility to protect yourself now rests entirely on your shoulders. You have to be the one to say no. You have to be the one who understands the rules. So how do you do it? How do you get those must-haves under control? The authors dedicate a huge part of the book to this, because it's the foundation of everything. Their advice is clear. Count the dollars, not the pennies. Stop wasting precious time and energy trying to save 50 cents on a can of tuna. Instead, focus your efforts on the 3 biggest expenses that make up your must-haves: housing, transportation, and insurance. An hour spent shopping for a better deal on these items can save you thousands of dollars annually. Let's start with your home, your biggest expense. The authors urge brutal honesty about what you can truly afford. The goal is keeping your total must-haves, including housing, under 50%. This might mean buying a smaller home than the bank says you can afford. It might mean living in a less trendy neighborhood. It might even mean renting for a few more years while you save a real down payment of at least 10%, or ideally 20%. Buying a house with no money down is one of the riskiest financial moves you can make. It sets you up with higher interest rates, extra insurance costs, and leaves you incredibly vulnerable if life throws you a curveball. Next, your car. The advice here is simple and direct. Buy used, drive it until it falls apart, and never ever lease a car. A lease is a trap designed to keep you making payments forever. It feels cheaper month to month, but over your lifetime it costs a fortune and leaves you with nothing to show for it. Finally, insurance. This is where a few phone calls can save you a staggering amount of money. Most people overpay for car, home, and life insurance because they never shop around. The authors recommend getting at least 5 quotes. Ask for discounts for being a non-smoker, having a good record, bundling your policies. Always take the highest deductible you can comfortably afford. You're insuring against catastrophe, not small inconveniences. A higher deductible dramatically lowers your monthly premium. This process can feel like hard work, but here's the wonderful thing about taming your must-haves. Once you do it, you're done for a long, long time. You set these big expenses on the right track, and the savings are automatic, month after month, year after year. That's how you build a foundation for real wealth. Now let's talk about the fun part, the 30% for wants. This is where the All You're Worth plan truly becomes a plan for living, not just surviving. For so many people, spending money on fun is riddled with guilt and anxiety. You buy something, then immediately worry, could I really afford that? The balanced money formula eliminates that worry. It gives you explicit permission to spend 30% of your income on anything that brings you joy: a trip to the movies, new speakers, dinner at a nice restaurant, a weekend getaway. It doesn't matter what it is, the only rule is staying within your 30% limit. So how do you do that? The authors offer a brilliantly simple, old-fashioned solution: use cash. Credit cards, they argue, are an open invitation to trouble. They make overspending effortless and invisible. It's almost impossible to keep a running tally in your head of what you've charged. You just swipe and hope for the best until the bill arrives and your stomach drops. Debit cards aren't much better. You still lose that physical sense of money leaving your hands. The solution is to figure out your monthly wants budget, then take that amount out in cash. You can divide it up weekly. If your fund budget is $400 a month, take out $100 each week. Put it in your wallet. When the cash is there, have a blast. When it's gone, you stop spending. It's that simple. There's no complex record keeping, no surprises at month's end. You look in your wallet and know exactly where you stand. This one shift can be revolutionary. It breaks the cycle of mindless overspending and forces you to be intentional about your choices. And it makes the fun you have feel so much better, because you know with absolute certainty that you can afford it. This is especially critical for what the authors call emotional spending. We all do it. We spend when we're sad, lonely, or feeling insecure. We spend to impress others or compensate for something we feel guilty about. Kevin, a divorced dad, was spending a fortune on his sons every weekend. Go-karts, expensive electronics, movies. He was trying to buy their affection, to compete with their mom's new boyfriend. He was drowning in debt, and the fun was just making him more stressed. The solution was giving his boys a budget in cash for the weekend. He showed them the stack of bills and said, "This is our fun money. You guys get to decide how we spend it." Suddenly, the boys were asking, "How much does that cost, Dad?" They started choosing cheaper activities so they could do more things. They were having more fun, and Kevin was finally getting out of debt. He wasn't the bad guy saying no. He was the guide, helping them make choices. This leads us to the final and most important piece of the puzzle, the 20% for savings. If you've gotten your must-haves to 50% and your wants to 30%, this 20% is what's left over. It happens automatically. You don't have to scrimp and strain to find it. The space for it is already built into your plan. This is the money that will build your future, and the authors lay out a clear 4-stage plan for how to use it. Stage 1. Save $1,000. Before anything else, your first goal is building a small emergency fund of $1,000. This is your sleep-tight money, the cushion that keeps a flat tire or leaky faucet from turning into a credit card disaster. Put this money in a simple savings account and don't touch it unless there's a real, unexpected emergency. Stage 2. Pay off all your steal from tomorrow debt. Once you have your $1,000 cushion, every penny of your 20% savings goes toward attacking high-interest debt. This means credit cards, personal loans, medical bills, any debt that isn't your mortgage or student loan. The authors recommend tackling them one at a time. Pay the minimum on all except one. Pick the one that bothers you most, maybe the smallest for a quick win, or the one with the highest interest rate. Throw all your extra money at that one debt until it's gone. Then take all the money you were paying on that debt and roll it over to the next one. This creates a snowball effect that helps you pay off debt faster and faster. During this stage, the authors are very clear about one thing: never borrow your way out of debt. Avoid the temptation of debt consolidation loans, and especially home equity loans. Taking out a loan against your house to pay off credit cards is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. You're trading unsecured debt for secured debt, putting the roof over your head at risk. It's one of the most dangerous financial moves you can make. Stage 3. Build a 3 to 6 month security fund. Once your consumer debt is gone, and congratulations, that's a huge milestone, you continue pouring that 20% for savings into your emergency fund until it's big enough to cover 3 to 6 months of your must-have expenses. This is your fortress, the fund that allows you to survive a job loss, major illness, or any other significant life disruption without panicking. This money should be kept in a safe, liquid account, like a high-yield savings account. It's not for investing, it's for security. Stage 4. A lifetime of wealth creation. This is the stage you'll be in for the rest of your working life. You've paid off your bad debt and built your fortress of security. Now your 20% for savings can finally be put to work building your dreams. The authors recommend splitting it 3 ways. About half, or 10% of your total income, should go toward retirement. Sign up for your company's 401k, especially if they offer a match. That's free money. If you don't have a plan at work, open an IRA. Where should you invest it? The authors keep it beautifully simple. For the vast majority of people, the best investment is a low-cost index fund. An index fund is like buying a tiny slice of the entire stock market. You get instant diversification without having to become an expert stock picker. It's the reliable, steady, proven way to build wealth over the long term. The next quarter of your savings, or 5% of your income, should go toward paying off your home early. By adding just a little extra to your mortgage payment each month, you can shave years, even a decade, off your loan and save tens of thousands of dollars in interest. Imagine the freedom of living in a home that's completely paid for. The final quarter, the last 5% of your income, is for your other dreams. This is for the down payment on a vacation home, the college fund for your kids, the trip around the world, the new car you want to buy with cash. This is where you get to decide what you're working toward. This 4-stage plan is a roadmap. It takes you from a place of financial vulnerability to profound security and, eventually, to a place where you can make your biggest dreams reality. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a get-rich-slowly, steadily, and surely plan. It's a plan for life. Perhaps the most beautiful part of this entire philosophy is where it ultimately leads. The goal of All Your Worth isn't to make you obsessed with money. It's the exact opposite. Once your money is in balance, once this system is running automatically in the background of your life, you can finally stop thinking about it. Money moves from being the main character in your life, the source of your stress and arguments, to being a supporting actor. It's there, doing its job, but no longer the center of the story. The center of the story can finally be what it was always supposed to be: your life, your relationships, your passions, your contributions, your worth as a human being. And that's a freedom no amount of money can buy. When you finish reading All Your Worth, the feeling you're left with isn't one of restriction or sacrifice. It's a feeling of profound clarity and empowerment. For years, personal finance has been made to feel incredibly complicated, filled with jargon, complex strategies, and gurus who make you feel like you're just not smart enough to handle your own money. What Elizabeth Warren and Amelia Warren Tyagi have done is cut through all that noise with a simple, elegant truth. Financial freedom comes from balance. The 50/30/20 framework isn't just a budget, it's a philosophy for life. It acknowledges that a good life requires security, the must-haves, joy the wants, and hope for the future the savings. Most financial plans focus only on the first and last, treating joy as an irresponsible luxury. This book understands that if a plan doesn't have room for fun, it's not a plan you can live with for a lifetime. That simple insight makes it revolutionary and effective. The most powerful lesson, I believe, is the shift in focus from pennies to dollars. We've all been taught to watch the pennies and the dollars will take care of themselves. This book flips that wisdom on its head, arguing that obsessing over small expenses is a distraction. It's the big, recurring costs, housing, transportation, that lock us into a cycle of financial stress. By getting those major decisions right, you create so much breathing room in your budget that you no longer have to worry about the small stuff. You can buy the expensive coffee if you want to, because your financial foundation is solid. This is a liberating concept that frees up enormous mental energy. Another critical takeaway is the tough but necessary stance on debt. The author's framing of credit card debt as steal from tomorrow debt is a powerful mental model. It reframes every interest payment not as a financial transaction, but as a theft from your future self. Their advice to use cash, avoid home equity loans for consumption, and systematically attack debt is a powerful antidote to a culture that has normalized being in the red. So how can you start applying these ideas today, right now? Here are 3 simple actions you can take. First, do the one-time calculation. Take an hour, just 1 hour, and figure out your own balanced money formula. Look at your after-tax income and track your spending for the last month. Where does your money actually go? What percentage are you spending on must-haves, wants, and savings? Don't judge yourself, just get the data. This single snapshot will be the most enlightening financial exercise you've ever done. It will show you exactly where the leaks are in your boat. Second, try the cash-only experiment for 1 week. Calculate your wants budget for the week, take it out in cash, and put your credit and debit cards away. See how it feels to spend with physical money. Notice how it changes your decisions. This small experiment can be a powerful first step toward breaking the habit of mindless swiping. And third, forgive yourself. So many of us carry around a heavy burden of shame about past money mistakes. This book is not about blame. It's about empowerment. Whatever happened in the past, happened. Today is a new day. Forgive yourself, forgive your partner, and make a commitment to move forward with a plan. Let go of the blame game, because it's the anchor holding you back from a brighter future. That was a summary of All Your Worth by Elizabeth Warren and Amelia Warren Tyagi. We've walked through the core principles today, but I have to be honest with you. A summary, no matter how detailed, can only give you the blueprint. The real transformation happens when you engage with the book yourself, in those quiet moments when a specific story resonates with your own life, or a simple phrase shifts your entire perspective. This summary is meant to be a guide, helping you see if this book's wisdom is what you need right now. If anything we've discussed has sparked something in you, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can fundamentally change the way you think about money, and more importantly, the way you live your life. Also, if you found this summary valuable, I'd be so grateful if you'd hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next journey into another life-changing book. Let's keep learning and growing together.